Dave the Wrench Martinez wasn't having a good day. Actually, scratch that, he was having the kind of day that made him wish he'd listened to his mother and become an accountant instead of a starship mechanic. The kind of day where the coffee machine was broken, his favorite socket wrench had gone missing, and oh yeah, an alien empire had just declared war on humanity. "You have got to be kidding me," he muttered, watching the holographic broadcast from underneath the belly of a malfunctioning cargo hauler. The Zax'thar Empire, all 8 feet of scaly purple pretentiousness, was declaring humanity's primitive technology in an offense to their superior civilization. Dave snorted, accidentally inhaling some engine grease. Primitive my ass. At least our ships don't sound like a tab choir being murdered by a garbage disposal. He would know. The Zax'thar had been customers at his repair shop on Station Delta 9 until last week, when their superior engineering had nearly caused a reactor meltdown. Dave had fixed it. Of course, he could fix anything with moving parts and a power source. But apparently his detailed report about their dangerous design flaws had offended their delicate imperial sensibilities. Now here they were, sending their greatest warriors to teach humanity a lesson. The massive Zax'thar battlefleet was approaching Earth's solar system, led by their flagship, the same one Dave had patched up 7 days ago. "Control, this is Martinez," he keyed his comm, watching the fleet's approach on the station's sensors. "You seeing what I'm seeing?" Affirmative, came the tense reply. "All civilian personnel are ordered to evacuate immediately. Military response is inbound, but they're still hours out." Dave glanced at his toolbox, then at the sensor readings. He knew that ship, knew its weaknesses, knew exactly where he'd had to jury-rig their shoddy power coupling because they'd refused to let him do a proper repair job. Yeah, about that evacuation order, he grabbed his toolbox and headed for his personal shuttle. "I just remembered I left something important in their engine room last week. Might need to pop over and get it." "Martinez, don't you dare." "Sorry, breaking up, terrible connection," he said, making static noises with his mouth. "But hey, if anyone asks where I went, tell them I'm just doing a warranty repair. Customer service, you know how it is." The shuttle's engines hummed to life as Dave punched in the coordinates. He patted his beloved wrench, secured in its holster on his belt. "Just you and me against an alien armada, old friend. Let's go make some warranty-voiding modifications." 6 hours later, the mighty Zax'thar fleet was dead in space, their ships floating helplessly after their superior power grid experienced what Dave's report would later describe as an unexpected rapid disassembly event following unauthorized maintenance procedures. The Emperor's furious holographic face appeared on Dave's shuttle display. You primitive maintenance drone, what have you done to our glorious fleet?" Dave held up his wrench, still warm from its recent adventures. "First of all, that's master mechanic to you, your purple pompousness. Second, I told you last week your power coupling design violated about 15 different safety regulations. But did you listen? No. Well, now you've got yourself a teachable moment about proper maintenance schedules." He grinned, spinning his wrench. "Also, you still owe me for last week's repair job. I accept payment in cash, credit, or unconditional surrenders, your choice." The resulting peace treaty included a clause requiring all Zax'thar ships to undergo annual safety inspections by certified human mechanics. Dave got a promotion, a medal, and most importantly, they finally paid his invoice. He still maintains that the whole war could have been avoided if they'd just read his original repair report. But as he likes to tell the rookie mechanics at his now famous repair shop, sometimes the best diplomacy comes with a 15mm socket wrench and a warranty card. The wrench in question hangs in humanity's central museum, right next to the peace treaty. The placard beneath it reads, "Sometimes the most powerful warrior is the one who knows how to fix things and exactly where to break them." As for the Zax'thar, they learned 3 important lessons that day. Never underestimate a species that invented both duct tape and WD-40. Always read the warranty terms and conditions. When your mechanic says something needs fixing, you listen. These days, the galaxy's various civilizations still tell stories about the human Zax'thar War, or as it's more commonly known, the warranty dispute, but perhaps the most telling change is in the Zax'thar Military Academy's required reading list, which now includes basic maintenance for dummies. And why you should tip your mechanic right alongside their ancient texts of warfare. Dave still works at his repair shop, though now it's the size of a small moon and employs mechanics from 50 different species. Every now and then, when a particularly arrogant customer complains about his repair recommendations, he just smiles and points to the framed newspaper headline on his wall. Empire sends greatest warriors. Humans send one angry mechanic with a wrench mechanic wins. Below it, in smaller text, extended warranty sales skyrocket across known space. What most people don't know about the infamous warranty dispute is that Dave's adventure didn't end with the fleet's surrender. If anything, that's when things got really interesting. You want me to what? Dave stared at the admiral of the human defense fleet, coffee mug frozen halfway to his mouth. We need you to establish a standardized maintenance protocol for the entire Zax'thar fleet, Admiral Chen repeated, looking far too amused. As per Section 47B of the peace treaty, which you apparently negotiated while high on engine fumes. I was not high on engine fumes, Dave protested. I was merely experiencing a temporary excess of workplace aromatherapy. He paused. Also, in my defense, I thought they'd just sign the invoice and we'd call it a day. I didn't expect them to surrender their entire maintenance sovereignty. The Admiral slid a tablet across Dave's cluttered desk. Well, they did. And now you're officially humanity's first interstellar chief of maintenance operations. Congratulations. Dave looked at his beloved repair shop, then at the tablet showing his new responsibilities. I'm going to need more coffee and a bigger toolbox. The Zax'thar Imperial Engineering Academy was exactly as pretentious as Dave had imagined. Purple spires reached toward the twin suns, their surfaces gleaming with the kind of polish that screamed more money than sense. He stood before the assembled alien engineering students, all 8-foot-tall purple figures, looking down at him with a mixture of disdain and terror. Right, Dave clapped his hands together. Who can tell me why you don't use copper wiring in a plasma conduit? Silence. Bellis. Anyone? No? Okay, pop quiz. What happens when you cross-thread a quantum bolt? More silence. Dave sighed. Has anyone here actually ever changed their own oil? One tentative hand raised at the back. Dave pointed. You. Name. KZTK, sir. Junior Maintenance Theorist, 3rd class. Did you just say maintenance theorist? Dave pinched the bridge of his nose. Please tell me that's not actually a thing. Oh yes, sir. We spend 7 years studying the theoretical implications of maintenance procedures without actually touching any equipment. It's very prestigious. Dave took a long pull from his coffee thermos, which may or may not have been spiked with something stronger. Okay, new lesson plan. Everyone outside. We're going to learn why you never, ever hot wire a cold fusion reactor without proper insulation. I brought some spare eyebrows for everyone. The changes in Zax'thar engineering culture didn't happen overnight. There was resistance, particularly from the old guard, who believed that actually touching machinery was beneath their dignity. But it's amazing how quickly attitudes change when your ship's bathroom facilities start malfunctioning and the only person who can fix them is a human mechanic with a vindictive streak. Dave's reputation grew. Other species started sending their engineers to study under him. His repair shop expanded into a full-fledged technical academy, where students learned practical skills alongside theory. The curriculum was simple but effective. Monday basic tool recognition, no, that's not a back scratcher, that's a torque wrench. Tuesday emergency repairs, if it moves and shouldn't duct tape. If it doesn't move and should WD-40. Wednesday improvised solutions, yes, you can temporarily fix a quantum drive with a paperclip, but please don't. Thursday safety protocols, if you can read this, you're not wearing your protective goggles. Friday practical applications, stop screaming. It's supposed to make that noise. His favorite lesson, though, was always the first one he gave to new students. He'd hold up his famous wrench and ask what's the difference between a warrior and a mechanic. The answers varied, usually something about combat skills or bravery. Dave would shake his head and explain a warrior knows how to break things. A mechanic knows exactly which things to break, how to break them safely, and most importantly, how to fix them afterward. Remember that, and you'll never start a war you can't finish. 5 years after the warranty dispute, Dave received an urgent message from the Zax'thar Emperor himself. Their sacred temple of engineering, a massive space station that housed their most advanced technology, was experiencing unusual vibrations. Dave arrived to find the entire station pulsing like a bad subwoofer. The Imperial engineers, his former students, were frantically running diagnostics. "Let me guess," he said, reading the results. "Someone tried to upgrade the main reactor without checking the maintenance logs." KZT, now chief engineer of the temple, nodded sheepishly. The High Council insisted. They said the old ways were better. Dave pulled out his wrench. "Well, time for some hands-on education in why we don't ignore maintenance schedules. Anyone who wants to help, grab a toolbox. Everyone else, start evacuating and maybe update your insurance policies." What followed was either the greatest repair job in history or the most elaborate act of sanctioned vandalism, depending on who you ask. Dave and his team of reformed Zax'thar engineers spent 3 days rewiring, replacing, and in some cases completely redesigning core systems that hadn't been properly maintained in centuries. The final touch was installing a new automated maintenance system, one that would literally lock out any user who tried to skip scheduled checks. Dave named it MOM, Maintenance Oversight Manager, claiming it was just as uncompromising as his actual mother had been about proper tool care. When the dust settled, the Temple of Engineering had been transformed. Gone were the decorative but useless golden panels and ceremonial control stations. In their place stood efficient, properly maintained machinery that actually worked. The Emperor, watching the final systems come online, turned to Dave. "We may have been wrong about humans being primitive." "Nah," Dave replied, wiping grease from his wrench. "We're definitely primitive. We just learned to be smart about it. Why build something new when you can fix what you have? Why fight when you can repair? Although," he added with a grin, "sometimes you have to break something properly to fix it right." The Emperor nodded sagely, then paused. "Wait, what exactly do you mean by break something properly?" But Dave was already heading for his shuttle, whistling innocently. Behind him, M.O.M.'s voice echoed through the temple's scheduled maintenance check in 10 minutes. "Attendance is mandatory. Violators will be subjected to educational videos about proper bolt torquing procedures." These days, the galaxy is a different place. Ships run smoother, accidents are rarer, and mechanics are treated with the respect usually reserved for high priests. The Zax'thar Empire, once known for their warriors, are now famous for their engineering schools, though they still haven't quite gotten the hang of human humor. Dave still teaches occasionally, though he spends most of his time in his original shop, fixing things that can't be fixed and training the next generation of problem solvers. His famous wrench has spawned 1,000 replicas, though everyone knows you can't replicate the magic of the original. When asked about his legacy, Dave just shrugs. "I didn't do anything special. I just refused to accept good enough when it came to maintenance. And maybe, just maybe, I helped a few people understand that the most powerful force in the universe isn't weapons or warriors. It's the ability to fix what's broken, break what needs breaking, and know the difference between the two." He pauses, then adds with a wink also, "I proved that warranty void stickers are more like guidelines than actual rules. But don't put that in the history books." The wrench in the museum has become a symbol of human ingenuity and practicality. Tour guides love to tell visitors how it saved the galaxy, though Dave insists it was more about common sense than heroics. "Anyone could have done what I did," he says. "I just happened to be the one holding the right tool at the right time." But perhaps the real legacy of the warranty dispute is written in the standard operating procedures now used across known space. On the first page of every maintenance manual, in every language, there's a simple quote. "If it's worth building, it's worth maintaining. If it's worth maintaining, it's worth maintaining right. And if you're not going to maintain it right, at least have the decency to give your mechanic hazard pay." Dave the Wrench Martinez, savior of the galaxy, but really just a guy who reads the manual. Yes. The coffee machine in his shop still breaks down regularly. He claims it's intentional, a reminder that some problems can't be fixed with just a wrench and attitude. Sometimes you also need coffee. The thing about becoming a galactic legend is that it really messes with your work schedule. Dave learned this the hard way when he started getting emergency calls from across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. "You know," he said to his apprentice Sarah, while hanging upside down in the maintenance shaft of a Regellian cruise liner, "I miss the days when the worst thing I had to deal with was a leaky fuel line." Sarah, who'd learned to translate Dave's speak into normal human language, handed him a plasma cutter. "You mean you miss when you weren't responsible for preventing interstellar incidents through proper maintenance procedures?" "Exactly. Do you know the Andromedans tried to declare me their god of repair last week? Me, a god. Can you imagine the paperwork?" The truth was, Dave's influence had spread far beyond just fixing ships and teaching maintenance. He'd accidentally spawned an entire philosophy of practical problem-solving that was revolutionizing how species approached technology. They called it Martinezism, though Dave insisted on calling it just "Don't Be Stupid About Machines 101. The Galactic Council meeting was going about as well as any meeting involving 17 different species could go, which is to say, it was chaos. Dave sat in his specially modified chair designed to accommodate his distinctly non-8-foot-tall human frame, watching various ambassadors argue about standardizing maintenance protocols. The council president, a floating gas cloud in a containment suit, flashed various warning colors. "We're here to discuss Mechanic Martinez's proposed universal maintenance standards." Dave stood up, wrench in hand. Over the years, it had become something of a diplomatic symbol. Amazing how holding a tool that once disabled an entire battle fleet could focus attention. "Look," he said, "it's pretty simple. We've got ships exploding because nobody can agree on whether a quantum flux capacitor should be serviced every 1,000 light years or every 2,000. My proposal is this. Let's create a standard that everyone can understand and follow. No more theoretical maintenance cycles, no more ceremonial repair procedures, just practical, working solutions." But our traditions began. The Zax'thar representative blew up 3 stations last month. Dave finished. "Your traditions are getting people killed. And don't even get me started on the Pleiadian sacred oil change ritual. Oil changes shouldn't take 6 weeks and require a choir." The debate raged for hours, but in the end, practicality won out. The universal maintenance standards were adopted, though Dave had to agree to include a clause allowing for culturally significant repair ceremonies as long as they didn't interfere with actual maintenance. Back at his academy, now spanning an entire asteroid belt, Dave was dealing with his most challenging student, yet an artificial intelligence that had downloaded itself into a maintenance drone. "No, no, no," Dave shouted as the drone attempted to optimize a fuel injection system. "You can't just calculate the perfect solution. Sometimes you need to feel the machine." "Invalid input," the drone replied. "Physical sensation not required for optimal performance." Dave pinched the bridge of his nose. "Okay, shut down your optimization protocols for a minute. Listen to the engine. What do you hear?" "Acoustic analysis indicates." "No analysis. Just listen." The drone went silent for a moment. "Then I hear irregularity. Pattern does not match expected parameters." "That's right. Now, ignore your databases. What does your basic sensory input tell you needs fixing?" It was a breakthrough moment. The drone began to understand that maintenance wasn't just about calculations and specifications, it was about developing an intuition for machinery. The AI became one of Dave's best students, though it did tend to get a bit philosophical about the relationship between organic and mechanical repair techniques. 10 years after the warranty dispute, Dave faced his biggest challenge yet. A mysterious wave of technological failures was spreading across the galaxy. Ships were shutting down, stations were losing power, and no one could figure out why. The pattern seemed random until Sarah noticed something. Every affected system had recently been upgraded with new AI-driven maintenance protocols. Not Dave's MOM system, but a competing product from a company called Future Tech Solutions. Well, Dave muttered, reviewing the code. "Looks like someone tried to automate themselves out of having to do proper maintenance." He cracked his knuckles. "Time for some old-school debugging." The investigation led to a shocking discovery. Future Tech Solutions was a front for a group of former Zax'thar maintenance theorists who believed that practical repair work was beneath advanced civilizations. They'd created an AI system that was supposed to handle all maintenance automatically, except they'd programmed it with their theoretical knowledge rather than practical experience. The resulting AI was essentially giving machines the equivalent of bad medical advice. Take 2 quantum fluctuations and call me in the morning kind of stuff. Dave's solution was elegantly simple. He introduced the rogue AI to his original MOM system. The 2 AIs had a long conversation about proper maintenance procedures, during which MOM apparently shared some choice words about theoretical versus practical knowledge. By the time they were done, the future tech AI had basically gone back to school. These days, Dave's getting older, but he's not slowing down. His repair shop has become a sort of unofficial embassy where different species come to solve their technical disputes. He's trained thousands of mechanics from hundreds of worlds, and every one of them carries a replica of his famous wrench. The Zax'thar Empire, ironically, has become the galaxy's leading producer of practical engineering solutions. Their warriors now train alongside mechanics, learning that maintaining peace is just as important as maintaining machinery. When asked about his greatest achievement, Dave doesn't mention the war he prevented, the lives he saved, or even the galactic standards he helped create. Instead, he points to a small plaque in his original shop that reads, "The universe doesn't care about your theory. It cares about what works." Below that, in smaller text also, "Please clean your tools before putting them away." Seriously, it's not that hard. Sarah, now running most of the day-to-day operations, still finds him in the shop late at night, tinkering with broken machines that others have given up on. "Just keeping my hands busy," he'll say, but she knows better. He's still listening to the machines, still finding new ways to fix things, still teaching anyone who wants to learn. Because that's the thing about being a mechanic, it's never really about the machines. It's about understanding that everything can be fixed if you have the right tools, the right knowledge, and most importantly, the right attitude. Even now, years later, when new students ask about the warranty dispute, Dave just smiles and holds up his wrench. Want to learn how to prevent the next war, he'll ask. Start by learning how to change your own oil. And somehow, in a galaxy full of advanced civilizations and incredible technology, that simple wisdom makes perfect sense. Though, as Dave would say, there's no such thing as an end, just the next maintenance cycle.